And as a perfect segue, Jason's talked a great deal about the importance of the discovery of making sure you properly preserve documents, you gather the documents, nothing is inadvertently destroyed. Obviously talked a great deal about the sanctions that can fall into place if that happens. That naturally brings us to the whole point of, well, why do we preserve these documents? Because somebody has to look at them. You move into that review area, and that's really where my company comes in. I'm a sales engineer with iConnect. I spend a great deal of my time discussing and assisting clients with workflows, whether or not we go from a more traditional linear review into some very complex scenarios as well, and really trying to customize that. The real key from our vantage point here is there are a lot of people that come in with a wide variety of experience. You have power users that are in highly litigious firms that do this stuff day in and day out. And you also have parties that are coming to this a little bit later in the game, as it were, that are really trying to dip their toes into using more technology to assist with their litigation as their projects are growing, as their clients are bringing them more and more data, more complex scenarios. And so we've really strived to do two things, and we're hoping to do that in the hands-on training session that I'll be participating in Birmingham. Really trying to help you see how you can use technology when it's used properly to have a more effective review process and a more efficient review process. So we've really tried to strive to do that in our interface. Because these are going to be very condensed sessions, an hour time, we're going to focus on some of those very unique things that will give you a better understanding of how certain tools, like Xera, can potentially help you as you move through. We jump into the first slide, Melissa. A couple of key things. Being able to use things like visualization tools within your interface, as opposed to reams and reams of words and data and columns just piling up on a page. When you get into larger scale litigation and you're going through email, for example, Jason talked a great deal about email and how some of the issues you have just on the preservation side for that. But when it gets into the review side, being able to more easily prioritize your linear reviews. So if a linear review is really what makes most sense for the project you're working on, well, let's prioritize it using tools that help you quickly identify where the emails were going, who was important in this particular matter. Those are the documents we want to look at first, because we're all crunched for time. We all need to move forward very quickly. Or whether or not you get into more complex reviews where you really need to ratchet down and find out exactly who had been talking to who when, using tools that will draw that out for you is obviously going to be a benefit. This is one of those items we're going to take a close look at inside of the training session. Let's flip us over to the next screen. Now, having been somebody who has also conducted end-user training here on top of a lot of the sales and the workflow stuff that we do at iConnect, I have a firm belief that one of the true banes of most users' experience, regardless of the platform you use, is searching. It's sort of that mentality that I know what I'm looking for, why can't I find it? And our view is quite often it's the interface. There's a way technology likes to have things phrased to it to properly understand, and it can only find what exists in the system and things like that. So with Xera, we've really tried to simplify the ability to find the data you're looking for. So making use of more advanced features in review platforms that are actually very easy to use, because it all comes down again to the efficiency. Things like faceted searching. Now, it's a term you may not be entirely familiar with, but if you're like most people nowadays, you've spent some time in the last couple of years on some sort of an online commercial website, think something like Amazon or a travel site, whereby as opposed to typing in and coming up with complex search strings to find the Kenmore dishwasher for $500 that you're looking for, literally down the left-hand side with a few simple check marks, you can easily find that information. We've transpose that to the review process. Again, in the training session, you'll get a chance to play around with that and see exactly how this can benefit you. Let's flip on over. There's been a ton of talk in the last few years around technology-assisted review, predictive coding, using advanced analytics, etc. For a lot of users, this can become a very burdensome thing to try to grasp. How do I actually approach this and use this effectively in a document review? Again, our goal, make it more efficient, make it more effective. We're going to work with something we have here at iConnect, very unique to the Xera platform, called the use of an exemplar document, which allows you to fully create your own conceptual documents. Essentially, take the important material off of key documents you find, be able to cobble it together into essentially a virtual document that will live inside of your database that you can use to more easily and effectively find the information you're looking for. What works great is, as you can see in this little screenshot on the right-hand side of the panel, it looks like a couple of different fill-in boxes, little edit boxes. An attorney who really understands the nuances of their project can literally sit down and describe what it is they would love to find. And we all know attorneys love to describe. Put in exactly the type of document you would love to find. The system will use analytics automatically to go and find that information for you and to bring it back. So again, prioritize your review, find the important material that much quicker. Let's flip ahead one more. And then being able to effectively collaborate within your group, within your review team, with all the different members on your team, whether or not it's just within the firm or you're working in a multi-district litigation. You've got different offices that are getting involved in a particular project. You've got outside experts, and you want to be able to easily flag off important documents for them. Another feature very unique to Xera that we'll get a chance to use hands-on and see how it works is a feature we call the comment collaboration bar, which allows you to essentially highlight off key portions of documents and literally email a user directly out of the system and say, hey, I think this is going to be important to this particular issue. Hey, I think we're going to want to use this for a deposition. And being able to flag, not only notify people, but allow them to come right back to the important part of that document, essentially treating it almost like instant messaging. When we flip ahead one more slide here, at the end of the day, the real key with Xera and with the platform that we're going to have a hands-on training session with is to make it different than other review platforms you've used in the fact that there's not a lot of stuff going on screen. There's not a lot of things you really need to be trained on because the system is designed to work much like the way you think. Work with tools and technology that you're already familiar with. For example, we're supported on iPads and tablets. So I know this is a bring your own device event. So if you're one of those users who stopped carrying around a laptop and you prefer walking around on an iPad or a tablet, you can bring that in. You'll be able to do your training right off of those devices. And you can see how we work and support all of those various tools because we want this to feel natural and intuitive for you. The comments portion, as I mentioned, it works like instant messaging. It's kind of like a Facebook wall posting feature as well for anybody that's up on Facebook. You can see here there's some feedback from a blogger and a consultant over in the UK, Chris Dale, who runs the UK's e-disclosure project. And he had received a demonstration, unbeknownst to us, from one of our clients, that decided to write about it. And it had been pointed over to us. So we stole part of the information put in the article to throw that up here. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I want to mention specifically, he says in here, the expression to raise the bar is much overused, but I am willing to use it this once. Xera will raise the bar for user-friendly application interfaces in e-discovery. And that was really our goal, was to allow all users, whether or not you're extremely advanced and you know this stuff, you've worked through different platforms, we run concordance and summation in-house, we've used Xera's relativity on a hosting project, we've played around with case logistics, we've done stuff inside of Xera. Whatever it is you're using, versus the attorneys, the paralegals, new to the firm, newer to the industry, that are saying, okay, now I've got to review documents. Where do I start and how do I do this? That entire spectrum we try to address simply, easily, and efficiently inside of that interface. I know, Melissa, you had mentioned to me prior to this session as we're coming in that your experience, obviously, as a former paralegal gives you a little bit more insight into the importance of a proper review platform.